Okay, let's do our next graph here. This is going to be our number 2 graph. And here we've got y is equal to 1 over x squared minus 1. Okay, we're going to start by looking for our asymptotes. We're going to check to see if we have any vertical asymptotes, if we have any horizontal asymptotes, and if we have any oblique asymptotes. Starting with the vertical, you're looking at where the denominator is equal to 0, so we set the x squared minus 1 equal to 0. And then we looked at this in class. You can either factor that into x plus 1 minus 1 and set it equal to 0, then set each piece equal to 0. Or you can simply bring the 1 over to the other side and get x is equal to 1. And then you could go ahead and take the square root of both sides, which of course is going to give us x equal plus or minus 1. Next, we'll look to see if we have any, well, we don't have any oblique. Is that correct? So there's no way to do a long division on this. Now, we don't necessarily have to have any horizontal asymptotes. We just need to look at it and see. There's no way to tell other than to look at it and see. But typically, we're going to see that we do have a horizontal when we have an oblique, but let's check it out. In order to look at those, we're going to look at y equal to the limit as x approaches either positive or negative infinity of the function we started with, 1 over x squared minus 1. And so again, here it's real simple. If I put infinity into the denominator, what do I get? Well, I get y is equal to 0. So we do indeed have a vertical and a horizontal asymptote. The next thing we need to do is we need to check to see if the graph crosses this. In order to do that, and remember, they're only going to cross the horizontal, we're going to take our horizontal asymptote, which is y equals 0, and we're going to plug it into our original equation. If we actually get a result, then we say the graph crosses there. If we don't, then the graph won't cross there. So when I put 0 into the original equation, I get 0 is equal to x squared minus 1. Again, anytime I have a rational or fractional function and it's an equation, I like to go ahead and get rid of the fractions, and I would do that by multiplying both sides by that denominator. That way it cancels over here. Since 0 times anything is 0, I get 0 on the left side, and when I clean up the right side, I get 1, and 0 cannot be equal to 1, so this has no solution, meaning that it will not cross. Okay, so it does not cross. I promise you, I will do you one where it does cross. If you check this particular one for symmetry, and again, I'm going to let you do the work for that because that is not new stuff. That is something you should have done, and I put videos out there for you to look at it. We do see that we will have some symmetry on this one, and we're going to have symmetry actually about the y-axis. So that'll just kind of help us to see the result here and what we have. Okay, so let's go ahead and start our graph here, and we'll go back. So we're going to come in here, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to plot our asymptotes here. And when you're doing your graph, folks, make sure that you do a graph where you put me an x and a y axis. And I know you won't have the pretty graph paper like I do, but you can still do an x and a y axis. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to mark up my values here. And I'm going to let each one of these little marks indicate a single digit. So that'll be 1 and 2, and then I'll come over here. And every 4 of them I did along this axis, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm just going to do every 2 going up as a single one. As long as each of these represents a single number, in other words, 1, 2, 3, you don't need to label them. But if you want them to indicate something else, for example, 5, 10, and 20, you do need to label them. And so for us, what we wound up having here was we had a couple of asymptotes. We had an asymptote here at, I believe, was it plus and minus 1. So here's an asymptote here. Here's an asymptote here. And we had an asymptote here across x equals 0. Okay, let's go ahead and go back now and find our intercepts because we're going to need those as well.